So, welcome back. Happy New Year. It's 2023. Let's go through what I've done in the past year, in 2022, and what I want to look at in the coming year. Right, so last year I made a number of videos on the Spectrum Next. I believe I made about 8 of them, which is pretty cool. And they were also my best performing videos that I've done on the entire channel, except some really old ones to do with Arduinos and Z80s. Which still baffles me why people watch them. They're quite old, but you know, whatever. If you like it, keep watching. I also appear to have gained another 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty awesome. You know, I'm not doing this with any real intention, which is something I want to come to later in the video. I've just been haphazardly jumping from one random video to another and hoping it looks interesting. Maybe trying out a few interesting thumbnail designs. So if you are a subscriber, thanks a lot. If you're not a subscriber, consider clicking the button if it's your thing, otherwise just come back and watch some more content. Something I've noticed from doing this now for a while is that having content that comes out consistently is often the way to do things. Like, there's lots of rubbish out there about what to put in a thumbnail and how to talk to the camera and all that crap, but the main thing is if you're not making content, you're not making content for people to watch, and it just stops getting shown. I kind of ran out of steam at the end of the year and decided it was too dark, too wet, and I couldn't be bothered. So that's a thing I want to fix this year. General idea of making this a bit more sustainable and easy to do. That's my general thing. I often have an idea, but then the planning to get it done takes far too much effort, and I just decide that it's too much effort to do. So let's look forward to what we're doing this year. I have a clipboard of notes to try and help me stay on topic. It's not going well. This is something I want to try and fix this year. Talking to this thing without needing a script. That's one of the things we'll talk about in a second, okay? So this year I want to make more sustainable videos, whatever that means. Pretty much it means that between me having an idea and it appearing on the internet, there's far too much fussing about involved. With me trying to write a script, set up things, make it look nice and everything, when the content is probably like the most important bit, and it's not always the most interesting thing to tell you. So I'm trying to work on that bit. The main thing is I like showing off what I've made. So the stuff on the Spectrum Next, it's quite fun me learning that to begin with. And then I also do like the process of explaining it to you on the internet. But it takes a long time to learn something. I don't just like Google it and then read what I've Googled. I actually want to understand it myself so I can properly explain it. And make a lot of interesting little demos and things to show. Now, something I found always a bit difficult with this whole thing is that I don't really have a direction I'm going in. Like, there's not a single thing that this channel is. It's not a Spectrum Next channel. It's not a programming channel. It's a whatever I think is interesting and worth sharing with the internet channel, which makes it a bit hard for YouTube to latch on to me. If I spent every week fixing a C64 or doing some coding, it would know what to do and send this to the right people. But since this is just nerdy stuff I find interesting, it's a bit hard figuring out a kind of general direction to this. So I started this channel just like farting around with a Z80, trying to work out what it did, and I quite like doing that. So there's going to be more of that sort of content where I'm exploring a thing that I don't quite know what I'm doing, rather than trying to teach you how the thing works. I've recently got a bit obsessed with smart home stuff, and before you all disconnect and switch off, I don't mean just like opening an app and putting a smart switch on my TV or something. I actually want to make my own smart stuff. So I found ESP Home and it connects to all the other bits and pieces, and just up there's a little temperature sensor I built, so I want to do more of that kind of content. But also then programming, and like lots of retro programming. I have this thing with C. I quite like programming in C, and also assembly. And you can't do that on a modern computer. It's too complicated to do. I grew up when that was the normal way of doing everything, but I was too young and a bit too stupid in a way to understand how it worked. I couldn't just Google the answers and understand it. So it was a bit beyond me. A lot of this channel is me just trying to do things that as a kid I wanted to do, but never had the resources or understanding of how to even start. So we're going to go in that direction of me exploring sometimes old technology, sometimes new stuff, but generally quite at a low level. To help with this though, some of it is far too technical to explain on a video. Like, I don't want to just do screen captures of me writing code. There will be some of them, because it is quite nice just chilling out and doing a bit of coding and rambling on as I do it. But I don't want to do a 3-hour live stream of me writing code. If you've ever written code yourself, it's not a long process. There's bits where you sit there completely stuck with no idea what you're doing, and you've just got to go and wander about for a bit and figure it out in your brain. So it doesn't really make very interesting content. So like I said earlier, some of this is just me having an idea, trying to make a video on it and seeing how well it pans out. And sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. There's no real planning behind any of this. I just sort of have a thought and try and make a video on it. So something I want to do is actually plan some videos in advance so I know what I'm going to be making, to give me time to research it properly. It's always hard getting something done in a month to get out for that month. It's a common thing on the internet, you know. You've heard lots of people whine about it. I'm not whining, it's part of the process. So to help me organise myself and make things that are worth watching, I'm going to have some long-running projects in the background. So some game development stuff, some, I don't know, Internet of Things and whatever. And I'll just do a little random video every so often of what I've managed to get done when I feel there's something worth making. And then each month what I'm going to try and do is make at least one video on a specific thing. So it might be on a piece of technology, it might be me learning some sort of ancient programming language. I've got quite a few of those lined up that I think could be fun. Sort of me trying to learn Fortran in a month and see what I can do with it, etc. You see, there's lots of videos on people restoring these old computers. So you can go watch someone fix a C64. It's quite nice watching that happen. You can watch people like retrobrite them and make them look as new as they possibly could do. There's not much video content on people actually using them. They're more done up as museum pieces, maybe a quick explanation for someone who's never seen a Spectrum before, and then that's it. Well, I want to do the next bit. I want to actually use the thing and show what it was like to use. Because a lot of these old computers, we use them now as toys for playing games on, but back then they were the computers. You ran a business from your Spectrum, as weird as it sounds. So I might explore that as well. There's a lot of old DOS stuff that people just don't seem to get into. And I want to look at like ancient DOS things and how you'd write code for it, and what an old DOS PC could really do, and why they became so popular, but without doing a history lesson on IBM and everything else that went in that you've seen videos on before. Another thing that I really need to do is improve this place that I'm sat in. It's not as big as it looks. Like, that's me touching the walls, and like the wall is just behind the camera over there, and this is the wall here. But it's a big confused mess. There's just stuff all over the floor. I can't actually stand up in the place either. So I need to make this better. I've got another place I use where I do like electronics and things, and I've set that out better with benches, and it's a much more organised and pleasant place to sit in. This feels like I'm sat in a shoebox. Kind of probably sounds a bit like one. So I want to make this a more pleasant place where I can actually sit and focus and work on things too. I also don't know how well I'm lit at the moment. Like, there's a random light up here, there's a couple stuck up here, and there's one over there somewhere, and there's this if it's in the shop. And it's just not set up well. There's bits of reflectedness, and I was intending on using this as a green screen, but it's just too reflective and too hard keying this out. So I want to just fix this whole thing so that I can have an idea, come in, if I've got an hour to make a video or just do some work, I don't want to spend 20 minutes setting up the place to even get started. I'll have forgotten what I'm doing, I've got bored and disappeared and gone back inside and done something else. So it's all about making it very accessible and easy for me, so I can make lots of content. Another thing is my website. So far it's just been this place that I've stuck the content description of my videos and a link on it in the hope that someone Googling might find my videos as well. I've not actually done anything else, there's no real reason to visit it. So something I'm doing is bringing back the blog that I had on it, where I'm just going to write about stuff I'm doing. So instead of shoving it into Twitter and it getting lost and never being seen again, I'll have a nice like proper long form explanation of what's going on with some screenshots and bits and pieces. It also means when I make a video on something, I've got some research and notes to look back on. I did try writing all this down in a notebook, but I kept losing the notebook or forgetting to do it because it's boring writing down what you've done after you've done it. If I'm doing it whilst I'm going along with some screenshots, it feels more doable. I can also use my site for showing off technical content. Nobody reads those screens of code that people put up, right? When I was doing the ones on the Spectrum Next programming, nobody read that text that was on the screen. Like, you can see the kind of viewer retention just dip as soon as there's some words on the screen. People don't like reading in videos, it's not what video is for. So I'll put a little bit of that in for an explanation, but then the proper meaty bit can be on my site for you to go and read if you want to. Because I'm just like you, when I'm trying to figure out how to do something, it's really annoying that Google sends you off to a video on the topic, and you've got to sit through 5 minutes of someone promoting their channel and their latest sponsor before you get to the bit you want to know, which is a 30-second screen capture. You know, I've probably done a few of them myself, but that's just how this thing works. But I'm going to make this bit watchable, and then the content, technical stuff, go in a blog post that you can read at your leisure or find using Google. So that's generally where I'm trying to go with this. So if you made it this far, well done. Thanks for sticking around. You're kind of the person I'm making this for. I'm not making it for the algorithm to pick up and send my video viral for someone to watch for 30 seconds and then switch off to something else. I'm making it for people who are actually quite interested in this stuff, other nerdy people like me. So if you're one of them, maybe consider hitting subscribe. I'm not going to push that too much because I think we all know how the internet and YouTube works now. That'll do, I think. I think I've rambled at the camera enough. I now need to edit this together into some sort of coherent content that's worth watching. And I'll see you in future videos. So then, last year, what did I manage to achieve? I have no idea, because I'm making this up out of my head. So, put some things down here. Let's make it sound less like a business presentation.